Once again, I'm coming to you live on another episode of Ghost Talks. I have a special guest this evening, Terri Wilson. She is a swamp witch out of Alabama. And I'm sure she takes a very different approach to the paranormal. And I think it's going to be a very interesting show. So she's been around for quite a long time. She's got a team of predominantly women in her team, which is kind of cool. And she investigates the paranormal. So we're going to find out on which perspective she takes. Is it more spiritual? Is it more scientific? This is going to be one of the topics this evening. Also, we will be talking about different types of hauntings, poltergeists, residual hauntings, etc., and a bunch of other topics. So please welcome Terri from Spirit Alabama. It stands for Southern Paranormal Inspection. Hold on. Sorry, I know you can hear me, Terri. I just want to get this right. I know you're in the background right now. I want to get this right. So it is Southern Paranormal Inspection Research Investigation Team. I think I got it right. Anyways, guys, welcome Terri Wilson from Spirit.
You
Hey, Terri.
did get it right, Dan. Hey,
Did I get it right? Okay.
you got
I
it
wasn't
right.
sure. I hesitated there a few times and I was trying to get it right, but I think I got it okay, right?
You did. You did.
We're all good.
Actually, we're going to roll out. We're changing from Southern to scientific because I have now members in oh God, where is Christine from? Vermont.
Okay.
My brain just went dead. And we have a team established in Davenport, Iowa. So we've grown. We're no longer just in Alabama.
Okay, so you're expanding basically. So it's not just a
Right.
southern thing, it's you're expanding across the state of Alabama.
We're expanding across the United States.
Oh, geez. Okay, so
Yeah,
across
we
the
have a
state. So
team
which
established in Davenport, Iowa.
okay.
And then we have a team in Vermont.
Okay.
And world-renowned world-renowned psychic Catherine Cirillos. Don't know if you've heard of her. She
No.
used to be with the Warren Foundation. She was the metaphysical director. She is part of our team.
Okay.
She was here for a while, but she's had to go back to Greece. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess technically we're kind of worldwide.
Okay, well that's cool. That's cool. So I'm glad to have you on the show then.
We're glad to be here. Thank you. I
Okay.
said I do have one of my teammates here. She's in the
You
background, but
hey, bring her in.
well,
It's fun.
she
If she
kind of
wants to come in,
stays
go ahead.
she
Hey.
stays anonymous because of her job, off
Oh, okay, okay.
camera.
Okay,
Um,
I understand.
but yeah, but she's in a field that, and being in the South, if you're
Oh, I know.
recognized in certain places, especially hanging out with a witch,
Yes, I can imagine. I
you
can
could be
imagine.
burned.
I get the same thing. It's this negative kind of stereotype that we get all the time, and it's like, oh my God, you're a devil worshiper.
Nope, nothing close
No,
to it.
no,
I
not
always
even
tell
close.
people first you would have to believe in the devil to worship him,
Exactly, and I totally agree
and
with you. And
I
I think the
don't.
problem.
So,
No, I don't either. And I think the
well, my
problem is people.
birthday actually, I have 666 in my birthday.
Oh my
So
God.
it's really a running thing. I
Yeah.
walk around when we're on investigation and say, I'm the devil. I'll do it from the basement and stuff.
Imagine if you capture that on an EVP, it'd really get people going, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I want to say hello to there. I think it's Monique Mason that's online right now. Monique is here. Also, Mira Saggart from Joplin, Missouri. Ken Mason, and I think this is Monique's husband. They're on there as well. Thanks for tuning in. All right, Terri.
Hey,
Like I
guys.
said, yes. So we got a few viewers right now. So it'll be posted on my YouTube channel later for somebody to view after the fact. So tell me about your background. How did you get into the paranormal, and why did you get into it?
Well, I guess it's, something that, believe it or not, um, I don't watch scary movies by myself. Um, I've I've before I was a paranormal investigator, I would never watch an episode of Ghost Hunters or Taps or anything like that because it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But then I started having paranormal activity in my own house. And so I was thinking, it was also at a time when I was always a witch. I just didn't always know I was a witch.
Yeah.
So it was at a time when I first started waking up to what I was. And so that paranormal activity that was happening then, I've kind of debunked as a poltergeist. It was my own energy,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
setting off arcing, whatever it does. But that was kind of what started it. And then my uncle passed away. I did not know it. And he woke me up from a dead sleep. And I found out that, and it was like 6 months to the day that he had passed away. Then I started getting all these that like the heat would come on in the house, but it was off, and
Hmm.
that weird things would happen. Then we had this light that just started coming on, and we started referring to it as the ghost light because it got to a point you could ask it questions and it
Yeah.
would come on, it would
Yeah.
acknowledge you. So that ghost light, I guess, in my house was what got me interested. I seen a sign out one day, some paranormal team in town, and I thought, I need to look into that. I need
Yeah.
to check that out. And I ended up finding a team. I joined that for a while, learned some things, and then um, they were not witch friendly. We'll say I don't want to bash them and
Okay.
say, I did learn some great things from them, but they are not witch friendly. And so obviously we didn't agree on some things. And I felt it was best to part ways. And a month or so later, Spirit was born because
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
really had a calling. Something in me said, you need to be doing this. And now that I do it, I know why, it was calling me.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was just curious, it was, I guess it was to prove, does this happen anywhere outside my own house?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I think it's like that for most of us. I think we've had certain experiences that actually pushed us in that direction. Like for me, it was a house I lived in back in 2002, where I actually had stuff flying off the shelves, like literally defying physics and flying off
Oh,
the shelves.
wow.
So, and that's I was into the paranormal, being a pagan myself. I was into the paranormal, a lot of supernatural stuff way before that, back in the late '90s. But when I moved into this house, I got more into the paranormal because of what happened in this specific house. So I guess it's, I think for us, I think it's everybody's the same. Like for you, for myself, there's something, there's like this trigger that happens, and then we want validation, and we decide to form a team and actually investigate because we want validation on the experiences we've had.
Exactly. Yeah, we want, because when all of it first started happening, the poltergeist thing, yeah,
Yeah.
if I had a dime for every time I said, this fucking shit is crazy, but other people were there and seen it and witnessed it, and there was a couple of times things happened. I was in the house, but I was like sleeping, I wasn't in the room. And one time they seen like a blue arc fly across the dining room and bounce off the stove. And I came out of the bedroom about 5 minutes later. I woke up, I guess, when they all screamed,
Yeah.
and I never seen anything like that. There was other weird things going on. So when other people started seeing it, I thought, okay, I'm not fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But when stuff would happen, it was this is crazy. And if I had a dime for every time I said that back then,
Yeah.
I would be a millionaire right now.
Yeah.
But now I know it wasn't crazy. For me now, paranormal is normal.
Yeah. Well, it is, and I mean, and when you think about it, I mean, the definition of paranormal is just something we can't explain via scientific means, right?
Right.
So, now I'm going to ask you a quick question. Would you, if you get activity in a certain location, whether it's a residence or an actual, let's say, a historical location, and you have activity, would you call the place haunted or active?
Active.
Active. So you never
Active.
call anything haunted because you don't really know what's going on, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
just, yeah, it's just not explainable via scientific means.
Right. Yeah. When we do, our main focus is clients, helping people. I do believe that's my calling now is and people think that this is crazy, but a lot of people on my team, and I apologize for this. Um,
Live and unedited, Terry.
right,
It's
right.
fine.
And in
We're
fact,
live and unedited.
this is a call coming in from a historical place that
There
we
you go.
investigate a lot.
Then you tell him, okay, you can take the call if you want.
No, no,
Go
I'll
ahead.
call him. I'll
And
call him
and
back
you can
later.
tell him, okay, you just
But
called when I'm on a talk show or something.
well, it's funny that he called me at this time because I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll talk about grits mill. That's who was calling. Um, Now he made me have a brain fart, and I forgot where I was even going with that.
It's okay, Terry.
Live,
I get it all
unedited.
the time. I get it all the
Welcome
time.
to Terry Wilson's brain. Brain farts all the time.
As long as you don't literally fart online, then we're good.
I will not do that. Now, if my brother-in-law is out there watching somewhere, that's his thing. My sister-in-law will send me messages, and you hear him ripping in the background, and she's cussing him. So, Jeff Miller, we're calling you out live online that you
There you go.
are, what did I call him? Lord of the farts.
The Lord of the Farts. I would love to buy myself one of those fart machines just for the hell of it.
That would be funny.
Yeah, that would be funny. I just it's kind of like slapstick comedy, but I just it's something I've always liked. Anyways, we'll get back to our main subject, I guess, and we'll get away from farts. So,
Right.
basically, my next question was going to be, what got you into the paranormal specific events? And I think you just answered that question because you explained what actually happened to you. Now, how long has your team been active? Spirit.
We Spirit was born in um the COVID shutdown really messed me up. We were
Yeah.
actually started out there investigating by October 2019.
hmm So the timing was just terrible, right? I mean, with the
It really
pandemic
was
happening,
terrible.
and this pandemic was across the world, not just it's Canada, the states. It was everywhere, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
But we did have, I had a couple of investigations, that hit me, right off the bat before the COVID shutdown and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and then my parents bought a house that ended up being very haunted. And I'm going to tell you a story about that came up today about that. We'll get into all of that. Um, but that place, really kept my team active during COVID shutdown because we all trusted it. We all knew that we were all locked in safe, so we were all safe to come together. So that Halloween that year that nobody had done nothing, we were over there investigating.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So just hold on. What's going on? I can't hear you for some reason.
You can't hear me?
Oh no, no, hold on. Okay, no, we're fine. We're fine.
Okay.
Technical difficulties once again. Okay, no,
That
we're
that
good. No, we're good.
that
I can hear you.
follows me, Dan. That
Yeah.
follows me.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, I think I get the same problem too. All right, so
Wonder if it has anything to do with what we do.
I think that's possible. I've had some experiences where when you go into a place and you ask for it, touch me, push me, and do all this stuff. And I'm gonna make this a very short story. I actually got a spiritual attachment to myself, and it threw me for a loop. I actually lost track of time. This was in a place
Wow.
in Gananoque, Ontario. So, yeah, I think when we ask for it, and because the stuff that we do, it seems that certain things will just kind of try to attach themselves to us, right?
Oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, so being a witch, do you take more of a scientific approach or more of a spiritual approach to the paranormal? Like, what's your
It
method?
definitely more scientific.
More
That my
scientific, yeah,
spiritual side and my investigating side is two totally different things.
yeah,
Now, I will, say when it comes to cleansing,
hmm
that's going to be more where my spiritual side is going to come out. But the client always knows going into that we will offer. I don't say I'm going to do a witch cleansing on your house. I,
yeah,
explain it that what you see me do is going to maybe remind you of what a Native American, something like that, would do. And
Yeah.
if they, being in Alabama, a lot of people are, and not that any of them have ever rejected me, but we want to give them the option to not feel like they have to do it that way. So we do
Hmm.
have Christian members on our team that are
Yeah.
perfectly capable of going in and doing a cleansing as well. So we always
Okay.
offer one or the other, and I've had several people want both. So
Hmm.
we'll somebody will start at one end doing their thing, and I'll go my end, and we'll come together in the middle and bring it together.
Okay, so it's a good approach. So you use a combination of scientific, and you also offer your clients a spiritual kind of approach if they want you to do some kind of cleansing to try to get rid of what's in the house.
Right,
So
right.
that would be your approach.
Right. And sometimes there's not even anything in the house. They just want that cleansing, that peace of mind that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to say hi to Dave Gibb. He is, I had him on my show. He's also a paranormal investigator from another team called CHAPS, which is Canadian Haunting and Paranormal Society. Hi, Dave. Thanks for
hey
tuning
Dave.
in. He's a good guy, very serious investigator, very scientific, and he's kind of like you, Terry. He doesn't take any bullshit. He just calls it as it is. That's who Dave is. He's just like right on the ball. And now I just got Cheryl McKee online as well. She is a part of the Night Watchman investigative team out of Smith Falls, Ontario. I actually do a lot of kind of combined investigation with these guys. We're kind of like a partnership, I guess you could say, with
Right,
Cheryl
right,
and Mark from the Night Watchman. But
right.
we keep our teams individual. So I just want to say hi to Cheryl as well, and Dave, Monique, and everybody who's on right now.
Yeah, we've
All right.
got we try to work with some sister teams and
Yeah.
well, I don't know if you know Things Network, Jeremy York from there. I mean, he's amazing. Got a lot of people out there that I love to work with, in the background too.
Yeah. I know
So
it's
I
fun to
get
actually
it.
cooperate with other teams.
Well, I mean, I think that's what it's all about. And you see, there's so much, bashing out there. People saying, "Well, that's not really evidence." Then that's another big thing. Why you won't find that we put out a lot of evidence because I'm not gonna put it out there just so I can argue with some idiot that's gonna say that's not evidence. And there's no one more critical of evidence than we are of our own.
Yeah, and I think most serious paranormal teams, as if Dave's team, Cheryl's team, were serious about the paranormal, and our evidence is, it's hard to come by good evidence, though. I mean, it's like
Right,
for me, being in the paranormal for over 20 years now. I've only captured two pieces of visual evidence in 20 years that are so compelling that I've tried to debunk, but I still can't explain. One of them was the window opening at the Ottawa Jail Hostel in downtown Ottawa, this is an old jail. They converted this into a hostel where travelers can come in and rent a 3x6 cell for like the night for $35 Canadian, super cheap. We investigated four times and we actually caught residual energy. We caught cell doors, or we caught sounds of cell doors opening and closing, but we never captured the actual doors opening and closing on video. And we actually captured
we
a
know
window
we know
opening
how
by,
that shit goes.
oh, I
I
know, I
mean, and
know.
how frustrating is it when your whole team, and I know
Yeah.
you're going to lead to questions and where we're going to talk about this place, but your whole team hears something and yes, I got it. And you go listen and it's not on the damn EVP.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Boy, that
know.
pisses
I
me
know.
off.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's why you have to try to cover all bases, right? But sometimes it's like you're either at the right place at the right time, or you lose it. You're just, oh shit, we didn't have a camera going, we
Right,
didn't have an EVP going, we heard it with our own ears, but we didn't have anything to capture,
right.
and it's
Yeah,
frustrating.
we had the
Frustrating.
EVP way down there and we heard the sound from over there. Yeah.
I know. I totally get
I
you on
mean,
that
and
one.
I just
It's
think that
crazy.
that shows that, they're intelligent. I mean, not all of them, but, they're very intelligent.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's. I think this is where we're going to get into our the some of the topics that we wanted to talk about now. We've already answered that you take more of a scientific approach, but you do the spiritual approach if your client will request it, in order to get rid of potentially whatever is in the location.
Right. Now,
Now, one question.
I will say, Dan, that, we do try to do like a walkthrough before we investigate. And
Hmm.
I don't just announce it, but yeah, I am, seeing if I feel anything. Because sometimes you just know when you walk in a place, oh, I don't like the way this
Yep.
feels, or
Yep.
you're not alone. So I do, and I guess maybe that's the spiritual side, but I'm not like announcing it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. Like sometimes I'll feel stuff, but I mean, I think we all have intuition. We can feel something. When you're in a location,
Right,
you go, okay, something just ain't right. Or if you follow your hunches at an investigation, it's okay to follow that hunch. If you feel, I think I heard something, or I feel like there's something in this room, there's no problem with actually just following that lead and see what you can capture, right?
right, right.
So we can't always be strictly scientific. We got to follow our own gut
Exactly,
at
exactly.
investigations, and I think that's a very good approach. I think we're pretty much on the same page, Jerry. So I'm going to ask you something now. This is okay. We talk about equipment, so I'm one of those guys. I'm very skeptical about equipment. The stuff that you get on places like Ghost Stops and all that stuff. I know they some of the equipment is great. For me, the only equipment that I truly believe is something that we can capture stuff is like video. If something levitates, gets off the ground and falls, that's evidence. If you have three or four people in a room, four people, there's a fifth voice, that's evidence. Especially if you have four males and suddenly there's a female voice that
Right,
pops up.
right,
Then you got all these other gadgets, the EMF meters. We all know what EMF meters are for. They're meant to detect electromagnetic fields. They're not meant to detect ghosts. We know that.
right.
But if you combine a spike on the EMF and a video evidence or audio evidence at the same time in sync, then that is potential validation. So I'm going to ask you this question. What all the gadgets that we have out there, what is your most favorite piece of equipment?
Me,
That's a good answer. That's a
me,
good answer. I didn't expect that at all, Terry.
me.
That's a very good answer. That's a very good answer. But
Um,
go ahead.
but as far as equipment, we're definitely on the same page, Dan. Uh, Visual, I've caught a few things that maybe, I mean, they're big, huge glowing orbs in the place that I'm at, and I'm following. You can see it move, and it's like a full moon. There's nothing on the camera, but I still can't say yes for certain that that is what we think it is.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I guess what convinced me was yes, there is something beyond us,
Hmm.
is my good old Olympus digital recorder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
like
some
you
basic
said, there was
equipment.
three of us in a room, or three. This was at a barn, and that there's nothing out there, no traffic, no nothing. And the very first EVP I ever heard was, and you can hear, the team over here doing their thing, they're taking temperature and stuff, and very clearly this EVP says,
Oh
just
yeah.
like that. And then when the audio guy took it and sorted it out, raised that voice, you could hear another voice in there, like a female voice in the same clip. And she's saying, what is she doing over there? Where is she? It was a lot of WHTH words there.
Yeah.
So the EVPs, I think, are, solid evidence when and my team knows. I mean, we've got a big list. If you're gonna burp, fart, all say it. Say I did it. When we're
Yeah.
doing EVP sessions, everybody's got to be quiet. Because I want to know when we hear that we've got solid evidence.
Yeah, and it's called contamination, right? So, and when we
Right.
do the scientific method, that's the way I look at it too, is the scientific method is controlled environment. So, the way I look at it when I investigate a location, either it's a residence or a historical location, whatever the heck it is, that place becomes my laboratory. So I have to consider this place as a laboratory. So we need to control the environment. So if we're going to do an EVP, everybody stays quiet. If you need to say something, you say it out loud. You don't whisper because
Right.
we
Yeah.
could mistake that for something else. And if you're going to fart, mention it. If you're going to do something, mention it. So that way we can say, okay, well, this is not an EVP. This is somebody either making a noise, they move their foot, because sometimes even just like a swish of the foot
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
mistaken for some kind
I've
of evidence. You
listened
think
to
it's a voice.
EVP over and over, and this is why I tell everybody, you know, don't contaminate my damn evidence because you spend so much time listening to that. And
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
listened
Yeah.
over and over and over and over to what something was moving, and then I think I determined it was probably somebody brushing against the wall.
Hmm.
Like they just maybe kind of moved and swiped against. Now it could have been something else,
Yeah.
but after I listened to it so many times, I said, "Nah, I'm not going to call that evidence. It's trash."
Hmm. Yeah. And I guess this is where it's so important to actually have a controlled environment to make sure that when you're doing EVPs, everybody is quiet and you know exactly where everybody's situated. So that way, if you do capture something, you can actually pinpoint it and say, okay, this is not one of us. It's not one of us moving. It's not one of us
Right.
whispering something. We actually captured something.
Right. Yeah, and isn't
Yeah.
it so frustrating? We do some of these fundraiser, public events for some of these historical locations, and I will always tell people, don't be whispering to your buddy, "Hey, do you want to go
No.
to Taco Bell after this?" Because I'm going to be listening to this audio for 6 hours playing it back until I
Yeah.
get it's you saying, "Hey, do you want to go to Taco Bell when we're done?"
Or you could say the resident ghost wants Taco Bell.
Right. You're right. Right.
All right. So I'm going to ask you another question now. Since you've been investigating the paranormal for how long in total? Like how many years now?
Well, I mean, I guess, if you count, not actually investing, I've been, you know, I would say 10 years,
10 years now.
look,
Okay.
studying it, kind of feeling it out, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Okay. Now, in those 10 years, what can you share with us what your most profound paranormal experience was?
Absolutely. Graceland Manor, we call it. Nothing to do with Elvis.
Has nothing to
Um,
do with that. I was just going to ask that. Is it
Nothing to do with
Elvis?
Elvis.
I don't
This
think
is
I don't think they allow people to investigate Graceland, but it would be a cool
I
place to
know,
do
wouldn't
it.
it be cool? I've
Oh,
thought
that would be
about,
amazing.
just like taking a recorder in there in your pocket and just,
Yeah.
I need to go to the bathroom and try to do a quick
Yeah.
EVP
Yeah.
session.
And then you capture on the recorder. Oh, thank you very much. And then you go back.
Right, right. Or
It's Elvis.
Elvis has left the building.
Yeah, he's left the building. Yeah. So share,
So
yeah, share that
anyway,
experience with us.
so this house that my parents bought, it's in Vincent, Alabama. When we found it, it was like a hoarded house, and the house is literally Dan shaped like this, like a U. You walk in, like here would be the front door, and
Hmm.
so we call it the left wing and the right wing. When you go in, so when it was a hoard, I mean a hoarded house, and we found it when we were actually looking to buy my house. I ran across this one. My dad had just retired.
Hmm.
My mom was looking for something for him to do. You know, and a few of the houses that we had looked at, he had said, "Well, I could take this and flip it, and make some money and have something," because he's going to work until the day he dies. Whether
Yeah.
he's in a job or not. So when we came across this one, I called mom, tell David to look at this one. Long story short, they bought it. The
Okay.
stuff that was in it was worth what they paid for it.
Okay.
So when we're cleaning this place out, then they had hired help there. I was just there to kind of supervise. This guy don't know shit about my paranormal team. He doesn't know anything. There was some activity happen there. Of
Okay.
course, scared this guy off. I think that's why he never came back. It's because he had some kind of experience when he was alone there.
Yeah.
Um, but we had heard footsteps and stuff. Went look, nobody was in the house, and so of course my paranormal brain is going, we need it. And this was, during COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
The
Again.
team hadn't done nothing in a long time. I'm thinking we need to get some of this stuff cleaned out of here, and I need to get the team in here.
Yep.
So we did. And actually, my team member sitting here with me now, it was her and her partner. The three of us had gone over there because her partner was a non believer. He did
Non-believer.
not
Don't you
believe
just
that.
love those non-believers?
I love those
And you
non.
want something to fly off the shelf or something like that, something to move when they're there, right?
Oh well, we call him Twinkie. Twinkie had he had his experience. Um, there was just the three of us over there, and we were just kind of, messing around. Basically, he's our website builder. You know,
Okay.
doing a favor for his partner. She asked him build our website. Because that's what he does, and so we just had him out there just because we really like to give him a hard time. You know,
Okay.
we like to do practical jokes and stuff on him. So we drug him out there. Come on, Twink, let's. So we went out there and we had an experience. The three of them, we weren't even like really investigating. We were just walking around.
Yeah.
We're on the right wing, which we refer to as the creepy ass hallway, because there's something about that hallway.
Creepy ass
It
hallway.
just it fucks with you. So
Yeah.
the three of us are walking down, and so like we're in a line, and we all felt something rush over us. And
Like a
then it's
rush of
like a
energy, or like a
oh yeah, it was
rush of air.
energy. Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and we all three stopped at the same time. It was like,
Okay.
and then I think we had the EVP or whatever, and we is anyone here? Doing what you do, and play it back. And the things was it just leave or get out or this is something like that. And we were like, okay, no, 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 no. So a couple weeks later, we went over there to investigate.
Yeah.
Now Twinkie, because he had this experience in the hallway, now he's got to come back to prove to himself the house is not haunted.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a freak thing. And so he's walking through the house and he gets grabbed. And he just knew he was going to turn around and I was going to be behind him or Thalassa was going to be behind him. Nobody was behind him.
Nobody was
He
there.
was
So
he was
where
there
did he get
by
grabbed? Like by the arm or something like
he
that,
got
or
like I think it tugged his shirt, like
tugged his
something
shirt? Okay.
or his pants. It was enough that it tugged him and he knew he had been touched.
Okay.
So, me being Billy Badass, and I think I am, and this is my parents' house, like I said, and now the room that used to be the master bedroom of the original owner is now they're storing my grandmother's stuff in there. She
Mm-hmm.
passed away during all this, and so
Yeah.
that room kind of became her storage room.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, I'm going to be cocky. All my grandma's stuff is in there. What's the number one rule of investigation? Don't do it by
Don't
yourself.
be.
Don't
Yeah.
do it by yourself. Don't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm
That's true.
thinking, I'm safe in this room, right? Surrounded by my grandma's stuff. The team is just down the hall. So I wasn't alone. But I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna do a private EVP session myself.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm doing my thing. I always approach it, with kindness and gentle. I don't like to be aggressive,
Yeah.
because that can get your ass in trouble.
Oh yeah.
So I don't provoke hard. Who's here? Can you tell me who you are? And I'm doing this, and something went like, "Whoa." And I was like, okay. So, what was that? And as I'm saying, thinking, what was that? And that was kind of freaky. It does it again in a
Yeah.
deeper, longer tone. And it was like the air sucked out of the room. I
Oh yeah.
couldn't breathe. I had to get up and get out of there in that moment. Now, and I didn't run. I did walk fast. I went
You did a lot of
outside,
you did a little bit of speed walking.
a little speed
A
walking,
little speed
went
walking.
outside, to brush that shit off, do a little grounding, and then I went right back in. But that, what it really, I've never experienced it like the air went from the room. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt in that moment, if I didn't get out, I would die.
Yeah.
So it was just that's the freakiest thing that I've had happen to me.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you
besides the
go
kid
ahead?
calling out, same house, we were all packing up leaving one night,
Yeah.
and one of the team members was parked way at the end of the driveway, and I'm up here, and she says, I'm gonna pull my car down here while you're loading. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I got this box. I'll be in the truck by the time you get in the car. She says, okay, and she's walking down the driveway, and I hear Mama, a little kid. And I'm like, hey girl, did you hear that? She said, which one, the mama or the kid or the response? I was like, text me when you get home. Because I didn't hear the response, but I
Yeah.
heard the little kid call a mama. So then
Yeah.
when she got home and she called me, I said, what did you hear? She said, well, I heard like a little kid yell mama. And she said, then I heard a female voice like sing song and like a mother would back to her
Yeah.
child.
Yeah. So that's what really kind of really got you going in the paranormal. And says that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need to look into this a little
yeah.
further. Yeah, that's a really cool experience. Really cool experience. And I think we've all had this. Like for me, it was that house I lived in. It's something that just kind of clicks, and you go, I need to look into this further.
Yeah, well, you need to know, or am I crazy, or is there really something beyond
Yeah. Yeah.
this?
I think there is something beyond. I'm a bit of a skeptic. Like I'm very skeptical, but I think I need to be like I'm kind of like you. I have a very spiritual side and I also have a very scientific side. And sometimes they kind of clash, you know? And I'm assuming that for you it's the same thing. You kind of clash and you go, I know and I feel and I've experienced stuff and I know I've had experience and I know there's something those I can't explain what I've experienced, so I know there's something beyond. Is there life after death? I don't know, but there's something that we just don't see. There's things
Right,
going on that we just don't
right.
see.
Yeah, either there's
And I think that's
another,
what we investigate. Yeah,
right, there's another world living here, next to us that we can't see, and
yeah,
sometimes we can pick up their voice or whatever,
yeah,
or yes, there's life after death. And I
yeah,
always tell, when you said, do you call it haunted or active? I never want to tell anyone that their house is haunted.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's
That's
because there's no one that's a paranormal expert, and if they say
hmm
they are, they're a damn liar.
yeah,
Because
true.
there's no expert in this field. All we can do is say we have this evidence, and we can't explain it away. We
Yeah,
we know that it wasn't a human that made this, or we know, when it calls your name and you're the only one in the house, or whatever it is.
yeah.
If it's solid evidence, it is what it is.
Yeah. I've had questions people ask me. So you're a paranormal investigator, and it's like, okay, where's your PhD in science? Where's your PhD in physics? Listen, it doesn't take a PhD to interpret something levitating or something flying off a shelf, or interpreting that there's, you're three people in a room and suddenly there's a fourth voice, and the voice says something that's extremely clear, like a class AVP. And I hate it when people actually ask me, do you have a PhD in science? No, I don't. Do you have a PhD in physics? No, I don't. I have common sense.
Right.
That's the thing.
I'm
I have
not an
common
idiot.
sense. I'm not an idiot. I know that and I know controlled environments. It's not, and I'm gonna say this as a pun. It's not rocket science. Having controlled environments, anybody can do that. You don't need to be a scientist with a PhD to have a controlled environment. It just means you
Right.
control what's going on around you, and you see that location as your laboratory, and you say, okay, we're doing an EVP. Shut the fuck up. People, like, don't say anything. Don't
Right.
move. Don't.
Yeah.
That's the
Don't
way I
move.
do it.
Don't fart.
Don't
If
move.
you're hungry,
Don't
get
even
outside.
breathe.
Yeah. I don't want to hear
Yeah,
your
don't.
stomach growling. Get out.
Yeah, yeah.
Leave.
So, but I hate when I get those questions. Do you have a PhD in science? No, I don't. Okay, so
Don't
where's
need
your?
one.
Yeah, you don't need one. So how come you're a paranormal investigator or you're an expert? I said I don't consider myself an expert. I'm just a
Right.
curious person that wants to find out what's going on. I've had experience. I want to validate these experiences. I don't need a PhD.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And usually people with PhDs and all, they're not out here paranormal investigating.
No, they're not sitting in the dark like us for hours and hours and hours waiting for something to happen.
No.
They're sleeping at that point.
Exactly. Exactly. Or they're up working in a lab on something,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They're not
Something
sitting
like
in the dark waiting.
no, no, they're not. They're not. Okay, so So, what do you prefer? Historical places, big buildings, or do you prefer doing helping people in need, like residential locations? Which one do you prefer? Do you
I
prefer both?
prefer to help people in need. I think that's
I'm the
my
same way. Yeah,
calling, and
yeah,
I think that's where I was going to go earlier when we got the phone call. Was a lot of people think it's weird. I'm really not in it for the living. I'm in it for
yeah.
the dead. If they
Exactly.
really need help, and my belief is if the people find me and
Hmm.
I end up investigating there, the ones that are truly active and something is going on, I can almost always validate in some way that that entity brought me there and not the people. One of my
Exactly.
very first
Exactly.
investigations, this man from another state, yeah, he's telling me how he's heard so many wonderful things about me and my team. We hadn't been a team but a few weeks.
Hmm.
We hadn't been out there, and how he heard about me 3 states away, you know.
Yeah.
But once I investigated, I know his daughter was also a witch. And
Hmm.
that's the entity that called me there because she knew I would understand.
Yeah. So it kind of brought you together
Right,
to investigate. No,
right.
that's a cool concept, and I think that's where the scientific and spiritual sides can clash sometimes, because that's a very spiritual experience when you feel like something, that entity kind of brought you over. And most people that are scientific, okay, well, unless you can prove it in a laboratory, then it's
It
just
didn't
hearsay,
happen.
right? It
Right.
didn't happen, yeah. But I
But
mean,
when
we
this
can't.
man is standing there telling me, when we finally, after, because, he'd contacted me, it was right before Christmas. We had to get through the holidays. So when we actually went to investigate, we had already talked on the phone for hours,
Yeah.
you know, and he's standing there in his driveway telling me how wonderful it is to finally meet me in person. How he's heard all these wonderful things about me and my team and the amazing things that we do. And I'm
Yeah.
standing there thinking, okay, this is, either he's blowing smoke up my ass, trying to flatter me or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not easy to flatter, so you wasting your time on that one. Um,
Yeah.
or something is going on that put in his head to
Yeah.
call me. Well,
Hmm.
after 3 days down there investigating, I'm very sure that the entity that was there, his daughter, she's the one. I think, because I think it's possible that they talk to us in our sleep. We may not
Hmm.
know it, but
Yeah.
sometimes you wake up and something,
Yeah.
and I think that she did that to him because she knew I would
Hmm.
understand,
Hmm.
and be
Hmm.
able to
Hmm.
tell
That's a good
him,
point.
she's
Yep.
a witch. Yeah, she knew how to manipulate energy and life. So absolutely she's going to be able to manipulate energy and death.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So everything just kind of worked out, and you guys just you were brought together more or less.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we were about to discuss. I was about to mention. Okay. So in your experience and your years of investigating, what type of hauntings have you experienced? Have you, like, a poltergeist, residual energy, more something that's interactive? What is it you feel in the 10 years you've been investigating that you witness the most often, whether poltergeist, residual, or some kind of entity that's actually interactive and actually communicating with you live, more or less?
Well, I can only hope that, like, a lot of the clients that we've dealt with are not watching. Um, I would say, what do you think? We're what do we when have we investigated more, like just like residual or poltergeist? And where I'm going with that one. I think with the historical, like the Grits Mill that just called us, I think a lot of that is residual, out there,
Residual energy, yeah.
or a lot
Okay.
of residual energy out there. Uh, and like Graceland Manor, as we call it, we think that's kind of a combination. There's some residual, and then
Hmm.
this property probably just has, I mean, and we've even had a few, pretty well known psychics have said, that place may be a vortex.
A
Really.
vortex. Okay, so
Yeah,
a passageway for
right,
entities and
right. It
spirits and
really may be a.
energy to
My parents really may never live there. We'll have to once they get it all done and under the construction's done. We'll see. But that's the funny story I was going to tell you. Is my mom called me today when I answered the phone. She said, "You may not have wanted to answer the phone so quick," and I'm like. I mean, I'm 57 years old, but still, when mom talks to you that way, I'm like,
yeah.
what did I, what? And she said, David, which is my stepdad, David's going to kick your ass. And this is my mom's words. I'm like, what? I'm stumbling. What did my truck has been broke down. My husband has had my car for a
Yeah.
couple months now. I am stuck in the swamp in Alabama. What have I done, mom? I haven't been anywhere. And she laughed and she said, well, he's had to hire not one, but two guys because they're scared to death over there.
Just scared to death.
They've been having paranormal activity.
Two
So
guys.
the one guy, there's two of them, and they won't go. If the one can't come, they won't come alone. They
Okay.
have to come together.
Did they
So
go to Did they go to washroom together?
I got, I guess they're terrified to go down the creepy ass hallway.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want to go over there at all. They've said we don't have to work over there, do we? I mean, we're
So
talking. These are two grown, Alabama redneck
I mean, so they're like these
tough
big
men.
guys. It's like
Yeah,
I'm not going in there. Forget that shit.
yes.
So
So
when you
there's a
when
lot of residual of vortex. There's a
yeah
lot of shit in that house, but I
yeah
would say with client investigations, I would say most of it is like poltergeist, their own whatever's going on with them
yeah is
that's
actually
causing the
materializing.
activity.
Yeah, and I remember I remember reading an article once about a lot, and I think this might have had to do with the Enfield poltergeist in the UK, where when teenagers are getting into puberty and they have
So much
so much
emotion.
pent
Yeah,
up energy and emotion that when it accumulates, that energy and that emotions gets released, and it can actually move things physically. So I actually think, as you do, that certain locations, I think people are actually just producing or manifesting the
right.
entity
And then yes,
themselves with
and
their own energy,
it makes sense that the more scared they are of it, the more poltergeist activity they create.
exactly, because it's like a loop, right? The more they
Right,
feed it, the more it's going
right.
to happen, the more they're going to get scared, and so on and so on and so on. And I think this is where people need to, and that's why I love doing these shows. People need to educate themselves about this kind of stuff. And you know what? Talking about this, I'm going to mention an experiment that I saw was a long time ago. I wish I could find it on YouTube. So we know that infrasound can actually affect people's moods. It can make you hallucinate, like for any frequencies under 20 hertz can
Right,
can
right.
cause a very weird effect on your body. So I remember seeing this video where these scientists um, they did an experiment where they had different groups of people, and they had two different rooms. One room was just normal, and one room was they had speakers, and they were causing a lot of infrasound. So you don't hear it, but you can feel it, right?
Right, right.
Your physiology feels it. So, and when they kind of moved the groups around, the groups in the room where there was no infrasound, they went, there's nothing going on. And the people in the room with the infrasound, they went, oh, I don't feel right. I feel nauseous. I feel like somebody's watching me. Then they switched the groups around, and the groups in the other room felt the same thing. So, this is where people need to be educated when it comes to the paranormal, that yeah, there's a lot of outside factors that can actually affect a haunting, or somebody who believes their place is haunted, like high levels electromagnetic fields. And we did an investigation at a restaurant where the cook kept seeing where there's a window in the restaurant where the waitress comes in and gets the food, and he kept saying, I keep seeing a shadow there, but there's nobody there. The waitress is not there, and I keep checking. Okay, there's nobody there. Well, when we took base readings at this restaurant, well, this cook, was actually standing behind the grill, but above they had electrical stuff and air ducts and all that stuff. While he was standing in a constant 35 milligauss zone.
Wow.
35 milligauss. And I know anything above 2.5 could be hazardous to you. So I went, okay, well, debunked. Obviously, it's he's probably sensitive to this, so he's actually seeing stuff that's not there.
Right.
So we kind of debunked that. And I think this is where people need to be educated about the paranormal. Not everything is paranormal. There's a lot of outside factors that may affect you where
Right.
you believe you're experiencing something paranormal.
And the first team that I joined, I mean, he told us a story of something similar. They had a client years ago that was seeing psychiatrist after psychiatrist. She was hallucinating.
Yeah.
And she knew damn well she was seeing shit. And then, they're diagnosing her with every mental illness that there is, giving her
Hmm.
medication, but she's still seeing shit. So
No, medication,
someone,
medication, medication solves all
right,
problems, right?
right.
Yeah.
So eventually, I guess someone suggested to her, why not try a paranormal investigation just to see? Well, it ended up her alarm clock was
Yeah.
setting off extremely high EMFs.
Yeah.
And when the team pointed that out to her, said, first thing, get rid of this clock.
Yeah.
At the time I was on the team, that had been 10 years before. And they said she still sends them a Christmas card every year and
Hmm.
thanks them because after she got rid of that clock, she never had to take any medicine again.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's where we come in as paranormal investigators, not scientists, where we actually can explain to people, okay, what you're experiencing is not paranormal. You either have infrasound, you have something that's going on in your house that's causing you to experience. And it's like, and I remember reading an article where let's say electromagnetic fields, it's kind of like somebody being allergic to something. Some people are more sensitive,
Very
some people are
sensitive,
less
right.
sensitive. Yeah, exactly. So somebody who's highly sensitive to electromagnetic fields, if they're exposed to it on a constant basis, yeah, they can feel nauseous. They can feel like they're being
Headaches.
watched. They can hear noises, headaches, all sorts of kind of stuff. And they can say, "Oh my God, I can't explain it. It's got to be a ghost. It's got to be something paranormal. My house is haunted. Oh my God, let's call some paranormal investigators." And I think this is where we come in and explain to them, okay, listen, it's not that, but sometimes
Right,
it is.
right,
Sometimes it is active. There's some
right,
stuff we can't explain.
right. And I'd say our last actual client investigation, we kind of, you know, proved that was electrical wiring. I mean, when you've got
Hmm.
extension cords with 17 Christmas lights plugged in and then the microwave on top of it, and you're seeing a shadow walk through there,
Yeah.
yeah, you probably are because you've got too many EMFs
Too
running
many
off one
wires.
socket. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes when I do workshops with Mark and Cheryl from the Night Watchman, this is something we haven't done it, but I've done it before. I usually put an EMF meter beside a microwave and turn it on. Then you see the EMF meter go off like crazy. Now this is planned. It's you're pressing the buttons, you're making the microwave go. But I mean, there's a lot, and you know what I've noticed as well. What really causes a lot of high EMF? Goddamn modems, like for the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's like it spikes right up.
Yeah. Modems, cell phones, of course,
Cell phones, yeah. Two-way
yeah,
radios. Two-way
yeah,
radios will do it as
that's,
well.
you watch some of these shows and, they're, the K2 meters lighting up. We get dumb bitch. You're 2 feet away from it with your phone. Yeah, it's lighting up. It's your phone.
I know. And when I do investigations, especially if we do like a large location, I like to use two-way radios because I believe in safety. But when I use the two-way radio, I know the fact that if my EMF meter is going off, it's not a
Exactly.
ghost or not an
Exactly.
entity. It's I just clicked on the two-way radio, which is why the EMF is going on. But this is about, actually tagging your stuff and actually tagging, listen, I'm doing this and this is why this is going off. So, and I
Right.
think this is what people need to learn. When you investigate, you need to tag stuff when you're at an investigation to actually debunk and make sure it's not evidence, but it's actually something that's going on naturally.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. So we're probably going to go a little overboard. Terry, are you
I'm good with
going?
that. That's
You're
fine.
not going anywhere. We're good. And I'm liking the conversation. I think we're having a good time. So, and I love the topics. And I think a lot of people are seeing that what we're talking about makes a lot of sense. So, this is what I'd
And
like to
look,
leave out to
all
the
witches
audience.
don't aren't green and have pointy hats and warts on their nose. Some of us have
That's
was
a totally,
purple.
That's a totally different show, Terry. Totally different show. Actually, oh, I was gonna say something, but I'm not gonna say it. It was okay. Now, if I
Say
ask
it. Go
you,
ahead,
if I
say it.
okay, now I won't say it. We're not gonna share, but I'm assuming you're probably gonna know the theory behind witches flying on brooms. Do you remember that? You know what that is? We're not gonna say this on public feed, but we know exactly what they used to do, and that's why they were flying on
Flying on
brooms.
brooms.
Okay, all right. So we're on the same page on that one.
Right, right. And then,
Yeah.
let's not forget the flying gel.
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
you gotta have a way to get it where you want it.
Yeah, wherever it absorbs the best, right?
Right, right.
That's a totally different story. Okay, let's not get into that. That's
That's a whole other show.
a
Y'all have
whole
to join.
different show.
You'll have to
It's
join
not even
Dan
ghost related.
Saturday
Not even
night
ghost related.
after midnight.
When the kids are asleep, that's the kind of conversation we'll have. All
We
right.
used when I was doing shows, we actually did a kind of a witch show to we I I don't hex, but we did a shut someone's mouth spell live on camera. Um did some pretty nasty stuff with the cow tongue, you can probably about imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I was about to throw up. It was so gross, but I'm the one doing this stuff. So I mean, yeah, we've done some witchy shows. So Dan, maybe we'll have to hook you in, and you could do a witchy show
I
sometime.
totally agree. I will be on board with you 100% on that one. Okay, so let's go back to ghosts. Okay, so all right, so I had a couple more kind of talks I wanted to talk about. So you did say you're more residential, and you experience a lot of different experiences, poltergeist, residual, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're gonna skip over this one. Now, no, actually, I'm not. We're not going to skip over this one. So let's say a poltergeist, a residual haunting, an interactive haunting where it's communicating with you. Let's say, how would you approach when you investigate? How would you approach a haunting that you believe to be haunting? I wouldn't even say haunting, but a place that's active where you believe it's a poltergeist. How would you or your team combine approach a poltergeist, potential poltergeist activity in a location?
Well, for a poltergeist, obviously we're going to try to determine who in the house has got the poltergeist.
Hmm.
Who's causing. Um, we're going to investigate, and then we go back and we do a reveal. Sometimes we not might need to go back and investigate a few times.
Hmm.
Just depending on how it is what we get. So in the reveal, I have a very very wonderful lady who breaks things down in a very delicate manner.
Yeah,
So she's not telling them, bitch, you was crazy and you was causing a poltergeist.
yeah,
And you need to chill the fuck out. That's how Terry would say it. But that's
yeah,
why Terry has a team, because you put the right people in the right jobs, right?
yeah.
So she would break it down to them and explain to them, this is what it is or what
Hmm.
we feel it is. Of course, we can never guarantee, but this is what we suspect. And,
Yeah.
try to guide them in ways of cooling that situation down, you know.
Mhm, mhm.
Like one of the last public or private investigations we did, um, this client was, seeing things, she was hearing things, and she was fucking terrified. Well,
Mhm.
one of her friends thought it was a good idea to give her the chakra balancing stones, and she'd been wearing that though. And I'm like, take that shit off. You're opening up. You're opening your third eye, baby. You're allowing it in.
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, and a lot of times, just simple little things like that are gonna resolve the situation.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a cool way to approach it. Um, so I guess with residual energy and stuff like that, I mean, that's residual is just something you record. It's something that plays itself over and over
Right,
again,
right. Like I
and
call that like a time loop, or
a time loop that keeps. It's kind of like a lot of people say, especially in locations where there's limestone. It's like a vinyl record. It just records it, and
right,
eventually you can capture as it plays over and over and over again. But it's not interactive with the team or yourself. It's just
right.
something that
And
plays
I
over
guess
and over
there's a
again.
pretty I don't know if we could actually find it, but I've heard it, throughout investigating in Mississippi. I'm one of the, the guys that walk the train every day, the train track to make sure nothing's on it. He had done this his whole freaking life and he retired.
Yeah.
And they thought that he died because they were seeing his ghost out there. And he
Hmm.
didn't die. It was just, that time loop. He did it the same time every day for however many years and imprinted in time.
Yeah. 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 It's a, and it's like the jail hostel for us was the same thing when we had I know, well, you obviously you should, if you ever make it out to Ottawa, Canada, you should investigate this location. We were there like 4 times, and I call it extremely active, not haunted but just active.
Right,
And the we investigated the death row, which is the top floor of the jail hostel. So the jail hostel is separated, and it's actually 3 floors, but they consider it 6 floors because every landing is a floor. Because if something would be happening in the jail, they would say, okay,
right,
floor number 2, which is really landing number 2, there's something
right,
going on. There's a prison, there's a fight, there's something going on. So death row is floor number 6. So floor 3, but level 6.
right,
And it's actually just a square. It's like this, and like just a square, just a square. And we had cameras like this, like this, like this, and like this. So monitoring every single hallway. And on 3 occasions, we heard cell doors open and close. And we heard it, and we also captured on recorder. So we go back to our DVR and go, okay, it was somebody opening up a door. But
right.
again, we said no because we have control of the environments. We know where everybody is. So when we looked at our DVR footage, there's not a single door that opens and closes, but we actually captured the sound on audio. So going,
Well, that we
how?
gotta have that at Graceland Manor.
Yeah,
You can hear someone walking around in the kitchen and
yeah,
opening cabinet doors. But my dad has got all the cabinets out now. There's
yeah.
no cabinet
There's no
doors to
cabinets.
open.
So how are the
Yeah,
doors going to open if
but
there's
you
no
can hear
cabinets? If they're
like
not
the
there?
drawer open and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that would be residual energy. This is what
yeah,
we capture. It's not interactive. It's something we capture on recorder, and it's something that just plays itself over and
right.
over.
Yep, there's that
Yeah,
time loop. It's stuck in that time warp.
yeah, yeah. And that's so cool. Okay, so now, approaching each type, I guess with residual will be recordings and video. Poltergeist would be more trying to be interactive with it to find out. And again, video, if something is a poltergeist, something would move, you'd want video, a video camera accessible so that we can capture that evidence that if
Right,
something moves, right, for a poltergeist. Which I assume the jail hospital window opening was either, but see, it can be both. The window we capture, I don't know if you've seen it on our page, the window opens, it stops, and it closes. And we, of course, being the debunkers we are, we knew somebody at the National Research Council. And we said, listen, could you look at this evidence? And he said, well, go back to the building and measure the negative positive pressures in the building with the manometer and find out what your readings are. So we went back to him and said, well, these are the readings. He said, well, it's definitely not negative positive pressure that's opening the window because the readings are way too low. Okay, well, we debunked that. So it's not negative positive pressure. Now, depending where the building is situated, he said it can't be wind either because the window opens very controlled, stops, and then closes very slow. So
right.
again, debunks. And I'm trying to figure out, is this residual energy or is this a ghost that's actually interactive, opening up the door live as we're there? What would you think that would be? Would you think it's a residual? Would you think it's actually maybe an interactive kind of haunting,
Well,
or not a
I would
haunting, but
right, I would try, to attempt to get it to interact with me.
mhm,
I
mhm, mhm.
when something like that happens for us, I thought, "Can you do it again?"
Yeah,
Can
and it did it again. It did it again for us.
well, then I would say
Yeah,
if you ask it and it responded,
yeah,
for me, for our team, we would call that intelligent communication.
yeah, yeah. Okay, that's a
You
good
know,
answer. And
if they do what you ask them to do within now, like if I have, we have the rule if you like ask a question during an EVP session, because a lot of people are, who are you? Why are you here? You don't give them enough time. So,
yeah,
our rule is ask the question and then ask yourself in your head 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
before you say anything out loud again.
Yeah.
So, you know what? That's to give them time. So I would
Mm-hmm.
ask them, "Can you open that window again?" You know, and if they do it within, a minute time frame, I'm going to say, "Okay, that might be intelligent communication." Now, if I
Mm-hmm.
walk off and it does it in 20 minutes, well, that's probably residual.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what happened to us. We actually left the window open and we set up a geophone on the table, and we asked it. Okay, once we went and investigated the window, we asked it, and the thing is, we were in the opposite hallway, and we heard like a slam. So we went back to that
Right,
hallway and said, "Okay, it's got. I know the jailhouse, so I know it's got to. It's not a cell door, so it's got to be a window that's slammed because it was summer months. It was hot, so we had all the windows open."
right,
And we asked, okay, we're going to set this up here if you can do it again. It didn't do it within a minute, but later on in the night, I'm not sure if it's like an hour later or something like that, but the window closed by itself again. So that would be, in your opinion, probably more residual
well,
than something that's actually interactive.
yeah, I wouldn't be real quick to jump and say yes, it interacted, but again, I would go back and okay, do it again. You know,
Do it again.
do it
Do it
again.
again. Do it now.
That's me. I'm all do it again. Okay, if you do it again,
Yeah.
or can you touch me, or give me, can you knock
Oh,
or bump, or
I,
I'll give them other options to respond. It
yeah.
doesn't have to be that you open the window again. You know,
Hmm.
knock if you open the window. And if
Yeah.
they knock, I'm going to say, okay, well, that's
Yeah.
intelligent communication.
Yeah. And that's hard to capture. Intelligent communication, I mean, it's very hard to capture.
Very hard
Very hard.
because you're talking and, you're
Hmm.
trying to, I'd say, provoke loosely. I mean, you're
Hmm.
trying to get some kind of response out of them. So I mean, basically, you contaminate your own,
Yeah. Yeah.
ABP, when you're waiting, and so paranormal is definitely interesting. And I'm like everybody else. Everybody wants the holy grail. Everybody
Yeah.
wants.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that video, that
All right.
image.
Are
Something.
we
No, yeah,
are we ever gonna capture it, Terry?
I think we will. Will
Yeah.
we in our lifetime?
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are, but I'm gonna be 57. So,
I'm gonna
uh,
be 57 in May.
well, well,
So
happy
we're the
birthday.
same age.
Um,
Thank you.
so will we see it in our lifetime? I would like to think so, because look
Yeah.
how far we've come. Just in 10 years with
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. And I'm assuming
So
later on the technology is gonna get better, right?
right, and that's what my ultimate goal is with Spirit, is that one day we can be part of a larger thing,
Hmm.
with you and other teams, if we all document our evidence when we have solid evidence.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
all document it and keep good records, one day some scientists may be sitting and studying our shit and
Yeah.
coming up with a way to make it not paranormal, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the way we're gonna make our mark. I
Right.
just won't be around. We're just not gonna be around to enjoy it. That's all.
Right, right. But I don't know if you've checked out our website, but we actually have um a postmortem permission slip.
Okay.
So you can go in and tell us which questions to ask and what your answers will be. Basically, you're giving us permission to call you after you die.
Okay. Well, then I will subscribe.
So
And
yeah.
I've told my team members, if I die before you do, I will come haunt you.
Well, and I've told mine the same thing. I'm like that's why, we originally kind of did that, because I'm the oldest one. Let's be
Yeah.
real. I mean, in reality, I would hope that I would go before they do.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
want
And I'm
any
the
of us
oldest in my team as well. Yeah. So,
right, don't want any of us to go anywhere anytime soon. But
but we know what's
yeah,
gonna
if
happen.
life plays out the way we plan it, I will
Yeah.
go first. And I'm like, y'all ask me, I will come wherever you're at. I will
Yeah.
come. In fact, when I die, if they do any kind of memorial service, I want my daughters to hand everybody like a little card with a Ouija board on it that says, let's keep in touch.
Let's keep in touch. That's a good one. I like that one. But like and this is something I talked to John Curley from Haps as well. There's an experiment that I would love to do, but it's such a touchy experiment. Is if when somebody's, let's say, in a hospice and they're on their deathbed and they're very close to dying, this is where I'd like to be in that room, and it's a very touchy thing to be asking a family to say, okay, you're one of your loved ones is dying, but I'd like to be there with all this equipment that's unproven, or
Well,
these
Dan,
video,
I'm
and actually
telling
try to capture
I'm
something
telling you live on camera.
that if it
If
happens, I can
if
do
it
that,
happens to
you're
me, you have my
okay,
permission to come set
okay,
up all your equipment.
and I'm gonna hold you to it now, and vice versa. I could go before you, so I give you live here on Ghost Talks permission to set up in my room on my deathbed to see what happens when I pass away.
Look, we just became family with each other with that. Can you imagine our
That's so
family
cool.
members? They'll be like, "We got
Oh,
to
that's no, you
look. You
can't
got
do
to
that.
show the nurse the video because they said it when they were alive and in good health."
Yeah, look at this. Watch the Ghost Talk show. They both said it. They both agreed with each other that they're going to actually let the other ones do it with whoever passes on first.
Right.
This is a contract, Terry. This is a
That's
contract.
right. Now,
All right,
now we're in a contract, Dan. Neither one of us can die unexpectedly. We have to
okay, so we're
plan
gonna
the
have to,
death, you
yeah,
know, because
we're
you're
gonna
in
have to live.
Canada, I'm in Alabama. We'll have to make, arrangements to get to each other.
It's not just funeral arrangements anymore. We got more arrangements to make now.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so we're at an hour 15 minutes. I think we're good here. So for you know what, Terry, I really enjoyed this show. I think we had a good conversation. I think we had some good topics, and then we had some really good comments. And everybody was saying that it's so cool what we were talking about. Now, for your team, do you have any upcoming events or things that you guys are planning in the very near future?
Well, our junior team is actually going to Graceland Manor next weekend.
Okay.
we I because of these construction guys, and now that I know that they've been, they're getting cold spots and stuff, they can't go over there tomorrow. They're gonna come and finish Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
So me and my granddaughter, who's on my junior team, we may go over there tomorrow night and go live for a little bit, just to see what happens. Because apparently these guys, they're following us on Facebook. I don't even know who they are, but they're either following the house, they're following the team, they're
Yeah, yeah,
following
yeah,
somebody because they've seen the investigations over there.
yeah.
So I figure since they're supposed to finish the job on Sunday, I'll, you know, put a
Scoot out
little
there.
fire in their ass.
Oh, you're such a shit disturber, right?
Hey,
Good job.
you got
Good
at
job.
our age, we got to keep life interesting,
Oh
right?
God, yeah, it gets. You know what's weird when people say you hit your 40s and 50s? I said 40s is like a little like this, but when you hit your 50s, it like goes like this, and
Well,
that's
for
where you wake up
me,
in the
see,
morning and you got a pain somewhere. You go, okay, I didn't do anything, so why am I sore here?
well, my husband, he's like 6 months older than I am,
Yeah.
so for 6 months, he's like, oh, well, see, this is what happens when you turn 57. You're going to get there one day. And it's like, fuck
Do you remember as a kid, you used to think your parents when they were like 40, they were old?
you. Oh, God,
And it's like, no, that's 40 is
I
not old
just told
anymore.
my
Like,
daughter that the other day. Both my
yeah,
daughters
yeah,
have their birthdays next month.
yeah,
And, they're both in their 30s. I'm not going to call them out on, their exact age.
yeah.
But, I was telling them just that. I said, yeah, you remember when you thought I was old as fuck?
Yeah, I
And
did the
it
same.
wasn't that long ago.
I did the same thing to my son. He's going to be 37 this summer. We're 20 years apart. And I said, "Do you remember when you told me when I was 40, I was an old fart?" I said, "You're getting there, buddy. You're going to be 37, 3 years away from 40." Oh, he said, "That's not funny, Dad. What do you mean? It's 40 is not old." I said, "Well, you used to think
That's
it was
my
old."
oldest daughter, too.
Yeah.
She's going to be 37 and shit.
Oh my God. Yeah, my son's going to be 37 August 24th. So I'm going to be 57 in May. So you know what? Now he thinks 40 is not old. So now he
Yeah.
says 60 is old because I'm approaching 60, of course.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
such
tell
an
him.
ass. He's such an asshole, my son.
Well, I mean,
I
that's
love
why
him, but I mean,
they're here to just give us a hard time.
Oh yeah, but we still love him. I still call him my kid, and I still send him kisses and stuff. Anyways, and he hates it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mine don't want me to get lovey-dovey.
No,
You'll always be my baby, no matter how old. They hate that shit
you're
too.
still my boy. You're still my boy. Yeah,
Yeah, still my baby girl.
still my yeah. Even when you're 60 and I'm 80, you're still gonna be my baby boy.
Yep, that's what I tell
Yeah,
mine too. Don't matter how old you get, you're always gonna be my babies.
you're still my kid. Yeah. All right. So you know what? Great. So you guys have some stuff coming up. Tell the construction guys I said hello from Ghost.
Yeah, well, be
And
tune into our page tomorrow night. I'll post. If we're gonna do it, I'll post tomorrow morning what time we'll go live and stuff tomorrow night. And
okay,
so yeah, y'all can all get a look at Graceland Manor of Alabama,
perfect. We'll check it
and
out.
we
We'll check
we
it out.
can freak out the construction guys.
Okay, send me a link and I'll post it on our page as well.
Okay, I'll do
Or
it.
I'll just share your if you have an event going, I'll share it on our page.
Okay, we'll do it.
Okay. All right, Terry. It's been great having you. This is a great conversation. I loved having you on the show. Maybe we can do it again sometime later in the future.
Absolutely, I'll come back anytime, Dan. I enjoyed being here.
Thank you for being here. And also, if I'm ever in Alabama, I'd like to visit you.
Come on down.
I've never been
Absolutely.
south of the state. Actually, I've been in Memphis. Is that close to Alabama? Kind of.
Yeah, it's about three. Are we 3 hours? About 3 hours from Memphis.
Yeah, I went to Graceland on a trip in Memphis, Tennessee when I was
Oh
younger.
well, you
So
need to come to the real Graceland.
the real Graceland, yeah.
Well, and I guess the reason I didn't get that, we'll tell y'all this quick. The reason we called it Graceland is when we were first walking through, the formal living room and dining room all had like crushed blue drapes, crushed blue carpet. I was like, fucking Elvis designed this house. We're gonna Elvis is in this house,
Yeah,
and I'll be
I know.
damned and all that stuff. We found an Elvis costume and an Elvis doll still in the box.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So
that was the
Elvis
fashion
was
back.
in fact
It was a
there.
fashion back in the 70s, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like shaggy carpet and all that stuff.
Mm, yep, look like Elvis's jungle room.
Oh yeah, I've been there. I've actually seen it. All right. So we are good. I think my battery on my laptop's about to die. So, Terry, again, thanks so much for being on the show. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on. And I'm sure that when people watch this feed, they're going to agree as well. So, yeah, if I'm in Alabama, I'd like to visit you guys and your
Come
team.
on
And
down. We'll
hopefully
feed
we
you
can,
good.
and
We'll
maybe we can investigate
investigate.
together. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, Terry, you take care. Thanks again for being on. And hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely. You have a good night, Dan.
You too,
Thanks
Terry.
for
Take
having
care.
me.
You're welcome. Thanks for being on. Bye.
Bye bye.
All right, guys. This was Terri Wilson from Spirit, the Southern. Try to get this right again. Southern Paranormal Research and Investigation Team out of Alabama. Terry's a great woman. She has very good investigative methods. I think she's very much so on the same page I am as far as investigating the paranormal. I think this was an awesome show, awesome conversation. Absolutely enjoyed having her on. Obviously, a lot of people are agreeing. Hey, John, nice to see you, John. I'm just about to log off on the show here. I've been on air now for about an hour and 22 minutes with Terri Wilson from Spirit out of Alabama. Nice to see that you're on, John. I'm still looking forward to doing that Sunday coffee chat with you live. So reach out to me on over email or Facebook so we can get this done. I'm actually looking forward to that. So I'm going to be logging off for now. I'd like to thank everybody who actually joined the show this evening. Thank you for the comments and thank you for the support. Anyways, I will be posting on my Facebook page and YouTube channel when the next Ghost Talk show will be. This will be probably in the next couple of weeks with a new team, and we'll be discussing a crapload of different subjects. John, have a good night. Everybody else who tuned in, have a good night. Thanks again for tuning in to Ghost Talks, and I will see you guys again soon. Lights out.